The day does not defeat you at noon. It defeats you in the first 10 minutes. Before the world asks anything of you, you have already surrendered the command center. A screen lights up, a thought slips in, a memory from yesterday enters without knocking, and just like that, the mind is no longer yours. You do not lose the day because life is hard. You lose it because you hand over your inner government before the battle even begins. That is the quiet disaster most people never name. They think collapse happens later, at work, in conflict, under pressure. But often the real defeat is already complete before the day has a face. One glance, one scroll, one anxious thought, one small surrender. That is enough. Because the first permission usually writes the emotional law of everything that follows. The morning is not sentimental. It is political. Someone will rule the kingdom of your attention. If you do not sit first, noise will sit for you. And whatever enters first usually governs longest. That is why so many people feel behind before breakfast. The day did not beat them. They abandoned the throne before the first demand arrived. You know this pressure. You wake up and your body already feels occupied. Notifications. Unfinished ghosts from yesterday. The silent demand to be available, pleasant, efficient on. Nothing catastrophic has happened. Yet, inwardly, you already feel late. That is the modern form of fatigue. Not overwork. Premature surrender. You have not even stepped into the arena, and your mind is already rented out to urgency, comparison, and distraction. You are not beginning the day. You are recovering from an invasion. That is why the exhaustion feels so strange. You slept, but you did not recover. You woke up, but you did not arrive. Because arrival requires ownership, and ownership never happened. Instead, the first thing you touched was demand. The first thing you obeyed was stimulation. The first thing you carried was residue. A message, a mood, a memory, a task you dread, a version of yourself already slightly behind. Then the whole system tightens. Breath gets smaller. Patience gets shorter. Attention gets thinner. Your body is upright, but your authority is missing. This is why so many people feel depleted before noon without understanding why. The day has barely started, yet internally they have already been conquered. Not by reality, by unclaimed attention, by giving the first minutes to whatever arrived loudest. And once the morning begins in reaction, the rest of the day usually becomes management, not living. Management. Stoicism is mercilessly clear here. Your life is shaped less by dramatic decisions than by repeated permissions. And the first permission is this: what do you allow into your mind before you have chosen yourself? A thought appears. I'm tired. A screen appears. React now. A memory appears. Carry this into today. Then the chain begins. Stimulus, interpretation, state, action. That is the mechanism. The thought itself is not the problem. The notification itself is not the problem. The memory itself is not the problem. The problem is that they arrive first and you obey before examining them. By the time you notice, your mood has become commander. Your energy has become reactive. Your behavior has become downstream from uninspected input. Tone becomes trajectory. One scroll becomes 10. One anxious thought becomes atmosphere. One backward glance becomes a day lived under yesterday's weather. This is why mornings matter. The mind is still unarmored there. The first influence lands deeper. The first mood casts longer shadows. The first surrender makes the second easier. Sovereignty begins the moment you refuse to let the first impulse become the ruler. Not every arrival deserves authority. Not every thought deserves a throne. Not every signal deserves citizenship inside your nervous system. The disciplined life does not begin with controlling the whole day. It begins with challenging the first permission. Marcus Aurelius did not wake up as an emperor of conditions. He woke up as a guardian of the mind. He knew the world would be noisy, petty, demanding. He knew people would interrupt, circumstances would resist, and weakness would arrive early if left unchallenged. So he prepared before the noise arrived. That is Stoic power. Not domination, preparation. A person of inner weight does not begin the morning by asking, "How do I feel?" He asks, "Who is in command?" Because if your attention is unguarded, the world governs you. If your mind is unled, your impulses govern you. If yesterday enters first, yesterday governs you. If the phone enters first, the crowd governs you. But if your mind is led before it is touched, the entire day changes shape. Not because life became gentle, because you became ordered. That is Stoic authority. The refusal to be emotionally colonized before breakfast. Marcus understood that dignity is not only how you behave under pressure. It is how you prepare before pressure arrives. You do not wait for clarity to descend. You establish it. You do not wait for discipline to appear. You begin with rule. The world may still be chaotic. The inbox may still be waiting. The day may still ask hard things of you. But if the mind has already been claimed, chaos arrives late to an occupied kingdom. Same world, different ruler. Mornings are architectural. The first minutes are where identity is declared. This is where most people drift. And drift always looks innocent at first. One scroll, one anxious thought, one glance backward, one small surrender. Then the structure of the day is built on weakness. So the Stoic morning begins with 3 laws. Rule 1: ownership over drift. Today is mine. Not because I control events, but because I control what I bring to them. The day belongs to reality. My response belongs to me. Freedom starts there. Rule 2: catch the arrival. A thought is not a verdict. It is only an arrival. Fatigue may arrive. Resistance may arrive. Memory may arrive. Urgency may arrive. But arrival is not authority. You do not have to kneel before everything that enters your mind. The inner world is not a democracy where every impulse gets a vote. It is a kingdom. And kingdoms decay when every visitor is treated like law. Rule 3: drop the residue. Reflection strengthens. Rumination corrodes. Take the lesson. Leave the ghost. Yesterday may offer data. It does not deserve to govern today. This is where many people quietly sabotage themselves. They drag emotional residue into new hours, and then wonder why the new hours feel old. Beneath all 3 laws lies one iron principle: attention is power. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention goes to noise, you become noise. If your attention goes to order, you become difficult to shake. Imagine a stone-thrown room at sunrise. Silent, cold, empty. Then the servants of noise rush in. Messages, demands, fear, comparison. Yesterday's unfinished ghosts. If no ruler enters first, the room is claimed by whatever arrives loudest. That is how most people lose the kingdom. Not in war, in negligence. They leave the throne unattended. Sit first. Rule first. Breathe before the crowd enters. Once the throne is occupied by awareness, the noise may still arrive, but it no longer governs. Picture a lighthouse before dawn. The sea is restless. The wind is real. The fog is thick. But the light comes on first. That is morning discipline. Not intensity. Primacy. Not force. Position. You are not trying to stop the world from arriving. You are making sure it does not arrive first. That is all. A throne claimed early. A light turned on early. A ruler seated before the messengers rush the hall. Once that happens, chaos may still knock. It does not inherit the kingdom. You do not need a perfect morning. You need laws. 1. Claim the first 10. No phone. No messages. Feet on the floor. 1 breath. 1 sentence. Today is mine. That is not motivation. That is a transfer of power. 2. The identity receipt. Do not begin with stimulation. Begin with evidence. Make the bed. Write one line. Drink water. Open the hard task before fear decorates it. Small wins are not small. They are identity receipts. They prove immediately that command has returned. 3. Direction over mood. Choose one rule for the day. Today I respond. I do not react. Today I do the hard thing early. Today I do not leak energy into noise. Mood is weather. Direction is law. The disciplined life is not built by vibes. It is built by rules you obey before your feelings approve. That is the blueprint. Claim the first 10. Create evidence. Choose direction. Repeat long enough and the morning stops being the place where you lose yourself. It becomes the place where you recover rank. The world will be loud again tomorrow. Pressure will return. Messages will arrive. Old thoughts will knock. That is not the question. The question is whether your mind will belong to you before the noise begins. You do not need a perfect morning. You need a claimed one. A morning where thought comes before impulse, where order comes before distraction, where rule comes before mood. Take the throne early. Guard the dawn. Let the day discover that it is dealing with someone who already decided who they would be. That is sovereignty, not control of events. Control of entrance. And if these words found the silence in you, we will meet again on the next road.